Hi, I'm Fabian, and welcome to Salty Business, where I share stories, insights, and lessons from building a life of freedom near the ocean, creating a business around my wife's award-winning underwater photography and my online coaching. Today, I will be talking about the most expensive action cam of all time and what this purchase taught us. Let me start with the lesson first. If you know you need to make an investment, don't wait, because waiting usually makes things worse. There is a Latin proverb that says, bis dat quicito dat, which means he gives twice who gives fast. We learned that lesson the hard way when we ended up overpaying massively for an action cam in Costa Rica. And this is the story of how something that should have taken 2 minutes turned into a 2-day cross-country stress-filled odyssey that cost us way more than just money. So let me give you some context. It's the fall of 2022 and we're heading to Costa Rica. Sina has been calling herself an ocean photographer for almost a year at that point, but she's still experimenting with different types of photography: landscape, wildlife, and of course underwater. In Costa Rica, it's the perfect place for it. At this point, I had already quit my tutoring job and committed to launching my own online coaching business. We were in the middle of a huge risk-taking moment and deep financial insecurity. Sure, the online coaching business would eventually bring in more money, but at that exact moment, we were still financially stretched and every dollar mattered. So when the topic of buying an action cam before leaving for Costa Rica came up, or rather I, kept pushing it off, creating a false sense of security. We'll buy one later if we really need to, which in hindsight was an absolutely terrible idea, because tech gear in Costa Rica, not easy to come by. A few weeks into the trip, we're about to go diving in Drake Bay, Caños Island, sharks, turtles, mantas, huge potential. Now we really need an action cam. At that time, Sina is also thinking about producing an online workshop in underwater photography, and the B-roll from the action cam would be crucial for that. So on Christmas Day 2022, we make the call. Whatever it takes, we're getting an action cam. At that time, we're in Santa Teresa, a small beach town with no action cams to be found. We contact every shop, every dive center in Costa Rica. Nothing, nada, zilch. And then an even bigger problem. We don't just need the action cam, we also need a dive housing. Back then, action cams could only go to 10 meters without one. Maybe we can buy one from an online shop or maybe a private reselling site? And yes, on Mercado Libre, someone does seem to be selling a housing. But for some reason, we cannot create an account. Why? Because it's Christmas. So yeah, in Costa Rica, at least back then, the internet had holidays too. So that housing does not seem to be an option. Then Sina finds a shop in San Jose, Costa Rica's capital. They do have a GoPro, yay, but no housing, nay. So we come up with a plan of changing everything. I mean, at this point, we had no other choice. So we decided to cut our time in Santa Teresa short and head to San Jose, 6 hours away, just to get the GoPro, figuring it would be better than not having an action cam at all. But then Sina rethinks stuff and starts looking for an Osmo action cam instead and finds multiple DJI stores in San Jose. I call them, they have the Osmo. Do you also have the underwater case? Yes. Really? Yes. It can go to 40 meters, right? Yes. Cool. Please set one aside for us. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Sina looks at me. Ask again, just to make sure. So I hesitantly ask again, and you really have the housing, right? Yes, 100%. All right, we're set. We'll go to San Jose, get the Osmo, and be done with it, right? Wrong. So that brings us to the nightmare in San Jose. I will spare you the details of the other nightmare, which was getting on a shuttle from Santa Teresa to San Jose during Christmas. Just know this, we arrive in San Jose, of course completely exhausted. Yet, we immediately run to the store. We grab the action cam and the housing. Wait, what? That's not a dive housing. That is just the clip-on mount for the floating handle. What the fudge? The sales guy just blinks. What? That's not a water housing? His colleagues all turn wide-eyed, shaking their head in disbelief. So Sina and I are looking at each other and we have a silent agreement. We go into soldier mode. No emotions, just a logical problem-solving protocol. New plan. All right, let's think. They also have the DJI Pocket 2 with a water housing. It's not what we wanted, but let's check. Quick Google search on our phones. Should work. We take it. Back at the hotel, Sina is doing research more diligently and getting ready to set it up while I buy groceries. When I return, she looks at me and says, "You have to return it today. The housing is famous for flooding." So I cook, we eat, we watch a movie, and then I run back to the store and return it. So we still don't have an action cam and definitely no housing, but we're not giving up just yet. We still had almost 24 hours until we had to get on a shuttle to Drake Bay, so that's still enough time to manifest it, to talk it into existence, to somehow make a housing for the GoPro, the reservation we had wisely kept as a backup, magically appear. So while Sina is somehow trying to create that magic, I'm taking a taxi to the other side of town to get the GoPro we had reserved. During that time, Sina stumbles upon a Facebook group for selling GoPro stuff. In there, she finds a seller and she sets up a meeting with him that afternoon. Then Sina realized it's December 27th. It's not Christmas anymore. She sets up an account on Mercado Libre and finds another guy who says he does have a housing. Well, actually, he doesn't have it yet, but he knows a guy who has a housing and he can get it for us. So now we have two options. Which one should we take? Actually, better safe than sorry. So we decide to buy both. After that, we're in constant contact with the guys. And then it goes down like this. The first guy says he'll be there in 15 minutes. Then the other guy says, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Okay, weird. Then both say in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And so the first guy shows up on a motorcycle. I pay him, I get the action cam, and I bring it back to our room. At that moment, the other guy arrives. So I go outside again. I pay him, I get the action cam, and then he says, I have one question for you. I'm like, yeah, shoot. He wants to know if I had just bought an action cam from another guy a few minutes beforehand. I say, yes, actually I did. So are you the guy he bought the other housing from? He says, yeah, that was him. So we share a good laugh and take a selfie. So after all, we had an action cam and actually two housings. Probably the only two housings in all of Costa Rica. We felt so powerful and rich. However, this had taken so much more time and energy than it would have if we had just gotten the action cam before leaving for Costa Rica. So here's what this story taught us. Number one, waiting costs more. Delaying a necessary purchase doesn't save money. It probably will even make things worse. So just swallow your pride, borrow some money, pay it back later. Still cheaper than an emergency solution. Number two, bad decisions snowball. One small delay set off a ridiculous chain reaction. Some mistakes just keep getting bigger. Number three, adaptability is everything. Things will go wrong. How fast you adjust determines the outcome. Number four, financial freedom isn't optional. As I said before, at this time I had already quit my tutoring job. And this whole situation just reinforced that financial independence wasn't optional. It was a necessity, so that in the future we can confidently make those purchases before we even go on a travel. So have you ever made a purchase that spiraled out of control or missed the perfect time to pull the trigger on a purchase or an investment? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. And if you would like to hear more stories from our journey, check out my former videos and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.